Hi, welcome to this episode of the Smart Leader Sell podcast. I'm Jessica Lorimer, sales coach and leadership expert, and I'm very excited to bring Gemma Stow back to the podcast. Woo, woo, woo.
Woo! So excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm very excited about this because we've just been having a bit of a chat before the podcast starts, as always. You know, and maybe I should warn people about this before they come on the podcast. When you come onto the podcast, you will be forced to have at least a 15-minute chat with me beforehand about things that really are not entirely relevant to the podcast at all. Just chatting.
Yeah, I love it.
But it is that kind of thing. And we were just talking about, you know, some of the stuff that is changing in your business at the moment, and that has changed as a result of, you know, starting to look at different social media platforms, starting to look at, you know, building your business in a different way. And some of the opportunities that have come up for you this year, including going to a very famous person's house recently and recording some very cool stuff. So how has this year been for you so far?
It's been a roller coaster, but a brilliant roller coaster, I guess. And starting in January, I had lots of plans. I mean, I was quite ill actually at the beginning of the year, which threw me. It did throw me. I felt like I was almost falling behind. I guess social media can do that as well. You see everyone else doing amazing, and it can have a real impact on you. But it was almost like I had to slow down to speed up. That's what it felt like, because it gave me time to reflect where I was, where I wanted to be. And I got really focused working with you, Jess, and setting some goals, looking at Q1 and then breaking that down monthly, and looking at making money, looking at visibility, what I needed to learn. Amazing stuff. And it's really helped me grow. And it's been amazing, actually, where I am now compared to where I was in January. It's
been a phenomenal start to the year for you. And I mean, this is, you know, part of obviously our series on how people progress through the sales journey, you know, and what it looks like in tons of different businesses. Because one of the things that we were talking about before we jumped on to record the episode today was the fact that in the online space, things can often, like you say, on social media, look like everyone's doing really, really well, and you're the only person in the world who isn't getting it or isn't clicking for. And that can be really, really disheartening. So let's just talk about your business for a sec here. You know, you are the founder of the Feeling Fierce movement, or the F movement, as we're going to go with that. Talk to us about what it is that you're helping people with now.
So I'm working with female business owners, and they're introverts. So their personality is more introverted. And sometimes it can hold them back. And the reason I'm doing that is because that was me. And I kind of had this light bulb moment of, you know, I was going back to where I was at the beginning, and I remembered all the things that held me back, and, you know, and it all linked to my personality and the things that I used to push onto other people to do and not me. And I love to help women do this. So when they kind of realize the things that are stopping them from being more visible, from promoting themselves, being able to even introduce themselves, going to networking events, all these things that are so incredibly important to building your business, building your connections, and they hold back, and they do. And sometimes it's like, oh, that's me, I'm an introvert, so I don't like going to networking, I'm going to stay at home and I'm going to do my online business because, you know, it really suits my personality, which is brilliant, and that's me. I do love my online business. I love working from home. I love being able to coach amazing women in my pajamas. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of amazing situation where I find myself. However, there's so many things that I have to push out my comfort zone to do as well. And that's all part of business, isn't it? It's about getting that confidence to do the things that scare you the most, I guess.
100%. And I really like the point you've brought up there about introverts, because one of the biggest things that I get all of the time is, yeah, but Jess, I'm an introvert, so I find sales much more difficult than anyone else. And the thing that I would say to people is, I'm an introvert, you know, in the traditional sense of the word, that actually people being around lots of people at any one time really, really drains my energy. I have to kind of hermit afterwards. You know, if I go through a big launch or anything like that, I need like 2 weeks afterwards to just be like, I'm going to just be over here and people are just going to be over there and do this kind of separate things for a bit. So for me, it's always really interesting when people who are introverted, and generally they are actually more vocal about, I don't want to do these things, or I feel more that it's going to be more difficult for me because I'm introverted, versus people who are extroverted who won't necessarily ask for help as quickly, but who will kind of just go out there and be like, right, okay, someone's told me to do social media, I'm just going to go and do the thing and blast it out there. What do you find the difference is for you?
I guess the biggest thing for me is the overthinking. And it's a superpower in its own right, because I do spend a lot of time thinking about things, reflecting. I love doing all that. However, on the opposite side, is that overthinking can then stop you as well, can't it? You almost spend that time talking yourself out of things, convincing yourself that you've not got everything together, you've not got everything, you've not got all the knowledge, you're not the expert. How can I promote myself? And all these kind of crazy self-doubts creep in, I guess. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me. And it's about, and I love helping women to find their superpowers, and then they can focus on how they can use it, you know, and be proud of it and use it in their own way. And I think that works for sales as well. And it's about finding the way that works for you, rather than everyone watching other people and deciding that's how you should do it. And that's what I've learned.
And I think that's huge. And I think maybe that's where we start with your journey, because when I met you, you were someone who had done all of the things. And you literally tried everything. Like, Gemma was one of those people who had been amazing. And despite, you know, saying I'm introverted and all this kind of stuff, Gemma had done every single thing I've ever seen on social media, on any platform, created any program. So tell me about it. Like, when you first met me, where was your business? What was kind of going on for you?
I guess my business was at the point where I'd started growing a following. I'd started connecting with people, getting my name out there, being a bit more visible. But the thing that I was really stuck with was the selling, and actually having that confidence to say, you know, this is what I'm offering, come and buy it, talking about money, in fact.
Yeah.
All those kind of stuff really held me back. And I knew that. And I knew that about myself, because I've done a lot of work on myself in the last 2.5 years, right? Yeah. I mean, from my previous business, I had a team of staff that I would like say, right, you go and sell, you go to the networking, you do the presentation, you do this. And then I could just be nice and comfortable and stay in the business and not put myself out there. So now it's just me on my own, which I love. I have to do all the things. So yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I have tried pretty much everything. I'm sure there's things I've not thought of yet, though. I'm sure I'll be able to pick your brains on that. But yeah, it was that was holding me back in my business. Definitely the confidence to not feel like I'm pushing myself onto people. That was a big deal for me.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because I think, you know, sometimes when we think about sales problems, people always go for strategy. Oh, my problem with sales is that I don't understand the strategy behind a launch, or I don't understand how to write a post-webinar email sequence, or I don't understand how to convert customers on calls. And, you know, yes, there's lots and lots of elements around that, and there are lots and lots of people who do struggle with strategy. But also this idea of confidence, and specifically having the confidence to talk about money and talk about what we're offering. Yeah. And, you know, I went to Denise Duffield-Thomas event in London. I think it was last year. It was last year. Everything seems to go so quickly when you have your business. I'm just going to throw that out there. Time. Just.
I agree.
Like, I don't really remember when this was, but it's definitely London. It was in like March. And she had this slide that said, wealthy women will change the world. And she put it out to the audience, and she was like, okay, who here believes that? And kind of hands went up. And she was like, who here believes that they want to be a wealthy woman? And like half the hands went down just like immediately. Okay. And it was really interesting. And when she was kind of asking people in the audience, you know, why is that? People were saying, well, you know, wealthy means that I would become a bitch, or, you know, actually if I had money, I'd probably just spend it all and then I'd lose it all and I wouldn't, you know, have anything anyway and I'd end up broke. Or, you know, if I am wealthy, I'm taking money from other people. And there were like all of these things that really were more about confidence issues than necessarily what we would deem to be traditional sales. And that's kind of where you were.
Yeah, definitely where I was. It was all about the confidence and actually doing some work on where my values were at with about money and making money. And I guess it links back to a kind of, it was almost a limiting belief that I realised a few years ago, was when I was a probation officer and I left probation to set up my own business. And I never believed that you could make a difference and make money, that you could help people and make money. And it was a big thing that would stop me. We were working with young people, and, you know, it was like I was having to ask people to pay for these young people. And it was a tricky feeling for me, like really uneasy and uncomfortable. So I did a lot of work on that. And I mean, I'm in a totally different place now. And even just saying that is hard for me because I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
And I can totally see how the more money you make, the more of a difference you can make as well. And that's it for me now.
And that's a huge thing. I mean, it is one of those things. I used to work with charities when I was in the corporate world. And I remember people saying to me, oh, you've picked a really stupid market because charities have no money. And the reality was these charities were paying, people thousands and thousands and thousands. And I became really disillusioned for a while. I was like, yeah, I can't believe it. This massive charity that's supposed to be helping this particular situation is actually spending 80 grand a year on this person just to sit there and do their finances, whatever. And it wasn't until I set up my own business that I kind of realized, I'm like, actually though, the more you reward those people, the more loyal they are, the better they do the work. Actually the impact it makes is huge. But you don't see that when you're in it.
Yeah.
That's a really hard thing to overcome.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And it's a difficult one, isn't it, with the charity thing, because we do have this perception that they've got no money. Yeah. And actually the business, you've got to look at it as a business. The people in it need to see it as a business.
Yeah.
And think like that, just to have that impact and make more money, like you say.
100%. And there are some amazing charities with incredible business arms out there that I'm like, you guys are super, super smart and are going to help way more people. I think it's definitely a big thing. So for you, when it came to sales, you obviously met me and were like, oh.
I was like, yay!
Oh. So it was like halo moments. So what was it that made you think, okay, cool, Jess seems like somebody that I should maybe follow and learn about sales from?
Well, I'd obviously seen you crop up with other people that I respected, and I thought, I need to check out Jessica. I joined your group just it was a perfect time. So it was almost like it was meant to be. And you'd just done a challenge. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to jump on this challenge. I'll get to know what Jess is all about. I'll get to know our group members. And by day 3, I remember having this massive wobble. And it was huge. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to not do it. I'm just going to not do the challenge. And then I had a moment with myself. I think I posted about it, actually. And I was stood in a post office queue or something thinking, what am I doing, actually? Why am I trying to back out of this? There's no way I'm going to back out of it. That is not who I am. That's not why I keep banging on about being fierce. So I'm going to post about this moment. And I did. And I got such an amazing response. And I think from that moment, it was almost like, right, it's time to step up and stop. And when these wobbles come, to push through them, which is what I help other women do.
Yeah.
And from those wobbles, from those breakdowns or whatever, come breakthroughs. And that is what I had literally in the space of a day, which was amazing. So then I thought, right, this is it. I'm going to have to keep an eye on Jess and see how I can work with her. So I need to do more of this, right? More breakthroughs. So yeah, it was amazing.
And it was all your hard work. Like the thing is, and again, let's look at the reality here. You were somebody who said, I'm not going to let this stop me. And I think, again, we don't always see that, in the online space. We see the social media feed and it can be really easy to think, oh, everyone else they never struggle. Everyone else finds it really simple. Everyone else gets it immediately. Nobody else is scared to do X, Y, Z. And the reality is it's not that people aren't, it's just that they don't share. And the fact that you did, tons of women then were like, oh, okay, great. Yeah. This is okay. Other people feel like this. I'm normal. And it makes a massive difference to them. And then obviously to you as well, because you're getting to support people who are like, thanks for saying what we wouldn't.
Yes, exactly. And then you don't feel like you're alone. And I guess that's what it's always been about for me. It's about not wanting women to be there thinking that it's just them, that they're the only person in this world going through those feelings of, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I want to be a businesswoman, but I haven't got what it takes, all that kind of crap that we tell ourselves. Yeah. And it's a real feeling, but you don't have to go through it on your own. And as soon as that vulnerability came from me, which I had been hiding, I think, thinking that you have to have this look of being a perfect coach, a perfect business owner, for people to kind of buy into that. As soon as I put my guard down and was vulnerable, actually that made it 100 times easier to be that person, because who wants a perfect person anyway to work with, right?
No, I think with perfection, everyone just wants to knock you off the pedestal.
Yeah.
That's what I've always found. And, my dad used to say that to me. He was like, if you pretend you're perfect, somebody always wants to stop you being perfect. So they'll try and chop you down. It's like tall poppy syndrome, isn't it? I think they call it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you kind of say to people, look, I'm just doing my best, and sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't, you find that people are actually much more attracted to your style of marketing because you're a real person and you can empathize with all the things that they're going through. So let's talk about breakdowns here for a sec, because you are somebody who has had a lot to overcome. And when we kind of talk about things like tall poppy syndrome and imposter syndrome and all this kind of stuff, I think it affects all of us. We all have this desire to be perfect. We all have the desire to get it right first time. Nobody wants to make mistakes. Nobody wants to have obstacles or challenges. And that's just not realistic when it comes to running business or when it comes to making your business profitable. So what were kind of the key obstacles that you faced? What were the big things that you felt like, actually, these are the big issues that I'm not going to be able to get past?
Yeah. Well, I guess the biggest one would be not feeling like the expert, I guess, and seeing that and getting that pressure from seeing other people doing amazingly well, thinking they know more than me. Who am I? It's that kind of question, isn't it? Who am I to, sell my services, to help other people? All those kind of things were coming up. And I guess that's probably one of the biggest ones, really. And also, like you said, imposter syndrome, which links to that. Also, that kind of people pleasing. So worrying about what people think of me all the time. And that would be a massive thing when it came to trying to sell. Yes. When I wanted to sell something, because I just felt like I was going to upset them, that I was going to tell them too many times, that I was going to, if I posted once, that they'd only want to see it once and then that'd be enough. And was I pushy? Was I trying to sell them something they didn't need? And all that kind of stuff just came flooding back. And I guess it's about looking at, my own experiences of that as well, and being sold to before. So, and that does make a big difference, I think, and how the obstacles that I was facing and that I was up against, really.
It really does. And I think, you're 100% right in what you're saying there about people pleasing. That's a massive thing. And I think it's also probably a bigger thing for people who've worked in the corporate world, because there, the job is always please the client. The client is always right. And the one thing, that I really struggled with when I came into the online space was being vanilla, because that's who I was. Corporate had molded me into this perfect little robot of, oh, okay, Mr. Client, you don't like that. No problem. Well, of course, you're absolutely right to have this completely irrational desire to change your contract, 8 months in. And of course, it's absolutely fine and not a pain in my ass at all. And I will fix that for you and I'll smile while I do it. And, just give me a smack with a big stick and I love that, not a problem. And so when I came into the online space and I started running my business, I was like, oh God, some customers are actually wrong. And you can't always say to them, yeah, that's cool, no worries. Sometimes you have to address a customer or a potential customer and say, actually, you're acting in a way that's massively inappropriate and that really grates or really grinds my gears. Yeah. And you need to stop that, because it's making me not want to work with you and it's making your potential clients not want to work with you. Yeah. And that is a big problem. So people pleasing is such a big one and I would say it's more prevalent in women.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree.
I think society kind of teaches us to be nurturing, be kind, be gentle, be nice to people. And I think in some ways it does us a disservice in that, sometimes we don't realize that the kindest thing we can do for people is to be direct with them, is to be transparent, is to be honest about, look, this is why you're not succeeding and this is how you need to change that. I mean, how does it feel now for you? Because obviously now you're doing all of the feeling fierce stuff. You are somebody who has a business called The F Movement. Can we all just give that a little hand clap, please? Because, I'm like, there are so many good words that begin with F, and I'm not even talking about the F-bomb, but lots and lots of great words that are not synonymous with the traditional nurture, gentle, calm, all the stuff that we associate with women. That's not who you are anymore.
No, exactly. And I think one of the big things, just mentioning that people pleasing, is also trying to please everyone as well, so that has really held me back. Trying to niche down. You hear people talking about niching all the time, and who am I talking to with my selling, my marketing, my message? And that has been a really tough one because I'm kind of my values are I want to help everybody and, everyone, every woman, every man, every child, every animal. And I will just help them. But obviously I can't do that. And it's taken me a while to be able to kind of get my head around it. The more I have, the easier my business has become because I've been able to speak to those people. So the F movement is kind of shaped and molded as I've gone along, as I have, I guess, and figuring out what I want. So when you were saying at the beginning about I've done all the things, I think sometimes you have to kind of go through those tests, don't you? Testing different things, experimenting and seeing what works for me and what works for the women I want to help. So
yeah, 100%. And I think one of the biggest things that I've seen change in you when we talk about the wanting to please everyone is one of the biggest realizations that I've seen you have, particularly this year, is that you can only help the people who want to help themselves.
Yeah.
Because I watched you and you genuinely were, if Jesus was still like walking around, he'd have been hitting you up for another disciple spot because you wanted.
It's hilarious.
Like, oh God, I've just hacked off all of the Christians. I'm very, very sorry. I am a lapsed Catholic, so I don't know whether that makes it okay. Probably not, but whatever, we'll roll with this. But it is one of those things, you wanted to save everybody. And I think that's the thing when it comes to being a coach, being a consultant, being in a service-based business, being a business owner in general, you can't save them. And we've said this about sales before, you and I have had this discussion. Sales is a solution, but ultimately the clients have to do the work to get the results. And that's probably the biggest realization that I've seen from you this year, or not the biggest realization perhaps, but the biggest change is that you are now like, okay, cool, I want to help people, but the clientele that I'm taking on are only the people who are going to actually put the work in for themselves and who recognize that they need to be participating.
Definitely. And I think, and there is still, and I'll be totally honest, there's still an element of that I have this kind of responsibility, which in one way is, due to my integrity and who I am and what I stand for. But I do have this responsibility of, working with people and wanting them to get to where they want to be, but they have to meet me halfway. And I've realized that, if we get to the end and they've still got goals, just listening to their feedback is incredible because they've been on the journey that they needed to go on. Yeah. And it could be fast, it could be slow, it's whatever it has to be for them. So it's not about me and what I want for them, it's about what they need for themselves. And that has been a huge realization. You're totally right, Jess, from where I was right at the beginning.
Yeah, 100%.
Worrying that I couldn't help people because they weren't reaching the goals that they set. But actually, it's not about that, is it? It's about the journey.
No, and also I think we have to look at who you are. I mean, you're somebody who has been hitting a lot of goals recently. We'll come on to that in a sec. But the reason that you have is because you show up for you. And out of one of the things that I most admire about you, and one of the reasons that I love having you in the Dotties and having been a client of mine, is the fact that you take full responsibility for yourself and for doing the work. And you are one of the first people who will say, yeah, I did the work and, maybe it didn't go as I'd expected and I need to tweak it. Or you'll be the first person to say, I didn't do the work and, and actually I need something to kind of push me out of the funk. So, I think that idea of taking full responsibility is a really big one, and it's showed with your clients because the people you're taking on get bigger and better results.
Yeah, they do. And I think that's one of the key things is when you're working with others, you've got to kind of do the work on yourself and figure out what's going on. And then you can just go deeper with your clients as well and help them have those realizations too, which Absolutely. Is the thing that I love so much about what I do. It's amazing.
And you are amazing at it. And, the fact that you've been selling more obviously helps because then the more women are going out there and they're actually doing the work and they're seeing results. And it's just this kind of like positive cycle, if you like. So breakthroughs, what have been your big breakthrough moments or your big successes this year? Because you've had quite a few. You have been a busy bee.
Really busy. I mean, the end of last year, I had my event. I'd run 3 rounds of Feeling Fierce in 4 weeks, the group online program. And it was just incredible. And like you said, after my event, I needed to have 2 days out to kind of re-energize because it was almost like a success hangover, but also an introvert hangover. That's what it felt like to me. So, at the end of last year was incredible. And then this year, it's just gone from strength to strength, really. And I guess the breakthroughs for me have been around, it's not about me. It's about my clients. It's about the women I want to work with. I want to help to go on and make incredible businesses and make a difference as well. And having that realization, that kind of breakthrough light bulb moment, whatever you want to call it, has kind of inspired me to show up more as myself, but, you know, and really understand selling and marketing in a way that I never had before. And yeah, I've had so much success. I've been smashing targets here, there and everywhere, which you've got to celebrate, right? And that's another thing that people don't do enough of, and I like to encourage that now myself because you've encouraged me to do it. So it's been amazing. What a roller coaster. Loved it.
But this is the thing. I mean, for you, like, I've seen some huge successes this year. I mean, we were celebrating you in the Dotties the other day. You were literally out on LinkedIn. You'd got 3,000 views on a post on LinkedIn, and that was incredible. You signed your first client from LinkedIn, which was amazing, on a brand new social platform for you. You set up a membership at the beginning of the year, you know, and immediately got new members. And it was like, okay, perfect. This is great. You know, you were signing high-end one-to-one clients, you were running different programs. Like, there have been so many of those kinds of things. But also, in terms of who you are, I see such a massive difference in your confidence and the way that you show up. And it's, you know, the post that you put out on LinkedIn that had all of the views, for me, was a perfect example of that. You just showed up as you, and you were like, yeah, cool, bit of a vulnerable share, but putting it out there onto a platform that is traditionally stuffy and a little bit highbrow and all this kind of thing. And people loved it, you know, but a year ago, I know that there would have been this huge internal monologue about, do I post it? Will people like me? Does this happen? Da, 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 da. And there was nothing.
No. And I just do things now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I guess I think you up level, don't you? So what got me to here won't necessarily get me to the next bit. But the differences, the changes are incredible. And like you say, this time last year, I wouldn't have done that. In fact, I was on LinkedIn, but I wasn't on LinkedIn, if you know what I mean. I was just like floating there, not doing anything with the platform. And that was one of the fears, was that it's, you know, it's professional, it's stuffy, it's not about what I'm about. And actually now going on there and sharing who I am and just being authentic, it's been amazing. It's been really amazing. And yeah, you're right. And my confidence has grown. And the best bit is that I'm honest about that, and I'll talk about that because it's so important for other women who are in a similar position, thinking, I've not got what it takes, I haven't got the confidence, or I can't find the confidence to do that or break through. Can and will. You know, and that's what the word fierce means to me. That's what it means. It means that inner confidence to do the things that scare the shit out of you, basically.
And I think sales is one of those things that does scare the shit out of most people. So let's kind of talk about the honest, the down low, if you like, on what it's like working with me. Because, you know, as somebody who is introverted, and see somebody who ostensibly I'm very direct, I'm very transparent. Some people have called me aggressive. There'll be a podcast episode on that later, I'm sure. I'm okay with it. I'm going to get a t-shirt with it on the front. What is it like? You know, what's the real skinny on that?
Well, it's been amazing. And, you know, I think it's because even as an introvert it doesn't mean being shy and all that stuff that people say. It's really frustrating when you hear that. And a lot of people tell me I'm not one, which is quite interesting. Yeah. No.
Please have an opinion on who I am.
Please tell me what my personality is. But yeah, it's just been amazing because I really respect people who are straight talking, and I'm a straight talker. Hence, you know, the introvert. I can't do small talk. I ain't got the time for it really. When it's not interesting or the person's not interesting, and I don't frankly want to know about it. Yeah, so that's what I love about you, Jess, is you're straight talking, you know, bullshit, and that's the kind of thing I need. And I need to, you know, be able to trust people with what they tell me. I don't need fluffy. I don't need, you know, pamper, pat me on the head type stuff. You're doing really well. Well, a little bit of that stuff. Yeah. I'm not going to say no to a bit of praise. But with you, Jess, you are just straight talking, and you give me the answers I need. You give me the support I need. You ask the right questions to get me thinking. And, you know, there's been times when I've had wobbles, and you're like, come on, let's just look at it from a different perspective. You know, there was a big wobble just before Christmas where I was all in the planning. I was totally consumed with what's next, what do I need to do next, planning. And it was coming to the end of the year, and I was thinking, what am I going to do? I need to make some money. I need my business to grow, and And I was all over the place. That's what it felt like. And I had a session with you, and which was perfect time. And in fact, you said, Gemma, I think you saw a post probably and went, oh, Gemma, book a call. So we got on the phone. and you were like, look, you're so fixated in the planning. You need to be doing things. And I'd kind of lost my confidence a little bit at the time of going live and doing my Facebook lives, because things that I was doing really well. And that happens. And I guess it's important for people to hear this, is that you might be doing something really well, and then all of a sudden you don't feel like you can do it well anymore. But that's okay. And it's about having those moments, isn't it? But you helped me get back in the doing. And that was so important. It made all the difference. And I just pushed all those plans to one side, and every day I showed up and I was doing something, I was taking action, and it felt great. And I was vulnerable with it, and I shared that with people, and they really resonated. In fact, it was probably one of the biggest Facebook lives in my group, the F Movement, that I got so many views and comments and feedback on, because I just showed up, and I think it was actually called, thinking about it now, was why I've not showed up as much. And that was it. And people resonated with it, because these things happen. And working with you has just been awesome. It's just been awesome.
I think, and I think this is the thing, people say this, and, there are going to be some people out there who go, yeah, working with Jess is crap. And to those people, thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.
I appreciate you. It is one of those things where I'm not for everyone, you're not for everyone.
Yeah.
But the common theme with clients of mine who have been successful, and we've talked a lot during this series on what success looks like to different people. Yeah. For some people, it's been about having major financial success, being like, right, okay, I've made a ton of sales, I've made a ton of money, and that's great. For some people, it's been, actually, I've changed my business and it's now more flexible for my family. For you, it's just been this kind of growth journey of, I'm actually doing the things I want to do.
Yes.
And I'm impacting people in the right way, and I'm showing up as myself. And that's a huge, huge thing. But the common theme with all of you is the fact that you do the work. So it's always nice that people, and like you say, it's always nice to have praise. It's always nice that people think that working with you is great. That kind of thing's lovely. But the reality is that you showed up for yourself every day. You didn't kind of sit back and go, okay, Jess, well, that's great advice. Thanks very much. I'm just going to sit over here though and watch Netflix and hope that it just happens on my own. You did the work. You showed up every day, even when it was uncomfortable, even when it was difficult. And that's what has got you the results in less than 6 months. I mean, we were just talking about it. You're on track to hit your best target for the quarter
ever.
Right? And it's just and it's less than 6 months because you've showed up for you.
Yeah. And those wobbles, Jess, you've helped me go through that. They happen, don't they? And you've been able to, I think it's your approach. You're so approachable. So sometimes I might ask a question and you'll help. And then I'll ask the same question in a different way, which I think is probably just a tactic for not actually taking the action straight away. Yeah. But I've got the awareness. But I just love the way you'll go, look, you can either do this or you can do this. Ask yourself these questions. Or don't, and it's just really, it's what I need at that time. And it's like almost, it is a kick up the arse. I do need to kick up the arse, I think we all do at times. But it's also that kind of giving me space to make the decision myself and really empowering me to do that. And that is just the best part about working with you.
We all have to learn to be our own business owner.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. And I think, sometimes I think we can get coaching. We can kind of mix it up with teaching.
Yeah.
And it's not, my job isn't to make everyone feel good all of the time as much as I would love to.
Yeah.
It's to make you get to the right decisions for you, not the way that my business runs. I'm not trying to, get anyone to build another business that looks like mine, because there are things, honestly, that in my business would drive any sane person crazy. Just like there are things in people who have mentored me's businesses that would drive me nuts. But that is the most important thing. You've got to be your own business owner so that, you can walk forward confidently and be like, yeah, cool, I'm going to make this decision about this big investment. I'm going to make this decision about where my business is going to go next on social media, or whatever that is. You do it and you have full confidence in yourself to go, yeah, cool, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest learnings from working with you is what would the boss say? Honestly, I use that every day, right? Every day. And if for anyone who's listening doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's basically like, so, it's just kind of removing the emotional crap and the baggage that I'm bringing to whatever decision I need to make, whatever next move I need to make in my business. And it's moving that to one side and saying, right, what would the boss do of this business in this situation? And that has helped me tremendously. Honestly, I have to say that, because it's such a powerful yet really simple thing you can just do like that. And it's been amazing for me. And even people have commented, my family have commented on how different I am to making decisions. And I guess I probably used to ask them, like, what do you think? What do you think? Knowing that I probably wouldn't like the answer. Sorry. But yeah, it's true. And now I don't do that as much, because I've got that confidence. I've got that, what would the boss do? I am the boss. I can do this. And it's amazing. Thank you.
I love it. So what would you tell people who are thinking about embarking on their sales journey, whether it's, working with me, or whether it's actually going out and taking action on their sales processes, listening to the podcast, doing the work? What's the biggest piece of advice that you would give to them?
I think the biggest piece of advice would be to get some kind of awareness first, because I think you've got to look at what it is that's stopping you selling, what's getting in the way, like we've touched on, those obstacles. And getting honest with yourself, is it about money? Is it about being pushy? Is it your own experiences of cheesy salesmen knocking on your door? Is it all that? And then getting honest, and then looking at how you can flip that, how you can switch it, change it around. And if that means getting some support from someone who knows what they're talking about, like you, then that's what you must do, and not let it stop you. Because if you want to run a business, you've got to be able to sell, right? Yeah. Otherwise you ain't going to have a business. And it is. And, self-promotion, I talk about this a lot. And, in the F movement, that's what I do. I have a platform for women to practice promoting themselves, talking about themselves. So do that. Take that first step. And it doesn't matter if it all goes wrong. Keep going. Because in business, things go wrong all the time, don't they? And you just got to keep pushing through. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is figure out what's holding you back, what sales stuff's going on in your head, that's stopping you selling and promoting yourself, and then figure out how you're going to move past it and get support. You've got to get support.
I love it. I just love you. I
love you.
I'm so bloody proud of you. So proud of you. I also love that you're the first person who's been part of the series who's said a swear word. I just love that. I'm like, yes, Gemma.
It wasn't the F one. It could have been, but I actually stopped myself.
Could have had an explosion of F-bombs all over the place, but we didn't. So where can women find you? Because honestly, you are somebody I see, and the best recommendation I can ever give anyone for their business, or for anyone hiring anyone, is this person walks their talk. And I've seen Gemma in, some shit states. I've seen Gemma in some great states. And what I can tell you is that consistently through them all, she walks her talk, and she shows her clients how to do the same thing. And that impresses me beyond belief. So for these women who are kind of listening and thinking, yeah, I'm not the most confident person on the block, or I am the introvert that finds it really difficult because there are lots of things going on and I don't want the generic strategy. I want somebody who feels like I do, or who can understand how I feel right now. Where can they find you?
Best place would be to come and see me on my website, which is gemmastow.com, which would give you all the information and read my blog and get to know me. But also in my community, the F movement, where I've mentioned it a few times, but we do have weekly mini challenges where you can start coming out your shell and meet other people and like-minded women who get it, who are running businesses. And I love that space. And, I do have my membership as well, which is Club Fierce, which is an intimate group of women. And it's all about you. It's about you, your journey, your business. And it's really personal, because that's what I'm about. About getting your results, right? That's what it's all about.
That's the thing, right? This is the great thing about my clients. My clients actually get their clients' results.
Yes.
It's like we make the world go round with results.
Making an impact, making a difference, and making money. Yay!
Impact and income. And that's a perfect place. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, please make sure that you do reach out to Gemma, and obviously thank her for her time. But if you are somebody who is introverted and who is struggling in business, make sure you also go and join her Facebook group. Make sure you check out her website. All of the links will be in the show notes as well. And obviously have membership club this if you want that extra support and help you get the results that you're looking to do or looking to achieve in 2018. If you have enjoyed the episode, make sure that you leave us a little review. iTunes requires reviews. I know, I'm not just somebody who really, really wants praise, although I do want that too. So if you've got any praise to chuck in there, great. If you don't feel like you have to leave a review, that's okay too. don't want to mess up my perfect score. Have a really, really good day. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to jess@jessiclaroma.com, where we're happy to answer any questions that you have and brainstorm any ideas that you have as a result of this episode. I will see you in Monday's training.